Perfect. Boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the educator and author herself, Sister Allison Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum salam, Brother Joshua. Thank you for me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming on. This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast. The first question that we have for you, Sister Allison, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, first, let me begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all holy praises are due. And I thank Allah for intervening in our affairs and raising one from amongst us, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who had the heart for the job to climb a 40-mile mountain to help save us. And I can't thank Allah enough for having mercy on us, even though we rejected the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to still know that there are believers that were in diapers, believers that were in the womb, believers that were yet to come, and then making a provision for us in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, our grace, our comforter, and the Jesus in our midst. So again, assalamu alaikum, and I'm so grateful to be here. When I first, by me growing up in Detroit, I saw Muslims all the time. Okay, so I just want to clarify that. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. And so Islam was not strange to me. But my family is Catholic. So, and I grew up right down the road from the mosque. I lived on Liberty Point and Grand, and the mosque and the believing community right there on Linwood in Davison. So I saw Muslims all my life. That was just part of the Black culture. I lived right across the street from the Shrine of the Black Madonna bookstore and cultural center. So Islam wasn't strange to me because of that. We were the children, the Muslims and us, we were the children that couldn't get dirty being outside. You can't get, Islam wasn't strange to me, but the formality, being introduced and learning, I was a teenager. And I always give the anecdote of, I was on my way home from school. I was in high school and I was a sophomore, so I was 15. And I did what a lot of young people do. I ate on the way home from school, ate in a greasy spoon, for those who are familiar with Detroit, Coney Island. And I ate a loose burger. And yes, all that its name implies. It was a loose burger, chili fries with cheese, and I was sick. By the time I got home, I was utterly sick. I couldn't keep my stomach. And my mom put me in the bed and she said, "You idiot, I got your dinner right here at home. What are you doing?" And I couldn't even keep down water. I always tell people that was really my first fast because I couldn't drink or eat. And sure enough, my mother pushed the TV in front of me and said, "Here, watch the TV." And there the minister was on Donahue. There he was teaching. And I perked right up. I was like, this is it. Wherever this man is, that's where I want to be. And I watched that whole program. If I hadn't eaten at Coney Island, I'd have been at school. Those talk shows were in the daytime. You know, those were for adults. I'd have been at school. So, and when Donahue said, "We'll be back. We're shooting live from New York." I was like, New York? How do I get to New York? That was the repeating thought. How do I get to New York? How do I see him, in person? And then they said, "Well, he'll be back tomorrow, part 2. I was like, tomorrow? So I was feeling a bit better, but Nani was like, "How's your stomach?" I was like, I need to stay in the bed. I would see him on day 2, and I was like, this is it. This is it. That was my wake-up message. That was my wake up message. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, but the connection there, it was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaching. And he was doing the Stop the Killing tour as well. It's when the brothers were in the cream colored uniform with the red bow tie. So it was like, yeah, minister, talk to him about the gang, you know. And he was like, no, you stop the killing, what you're eating, this falsehood, this false religion, you stop too. And it was like, oh, we do. So I had always heard him from afar. And then one day I was out and I was on my way to school and I saw the billboard on 6 Mile in Wyoming for all those believers who think that those type of announcements didn't matter or don't matter when we ask for donation for them. That's what I saw. I saw his smiling face, that he was coming in October, and I was jumping up and down. He's coming. He's gonna come here. Okay. And then I saw the address, Wyoming. At that time, we lived off 6 Mile in Wyoming. So I was like, where's the mosque? 14880. I got on my bike. I pedaled to the mosque. I kept pedaling down Wyoming. And when I found the mosque, I was like, okay, this is where he's coming. I don't know why my childish mind, you know, like, this is where he's coming. No, he was going to be downtown. But in my mind, I was like, he's coming. And that was around homecoming time. So that was 91. And I was like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. Sister Majida, at that time, you know, she didn't have her holy name at that time, it was Sister Letha. She kept seeing me. I was coming on Saturday because my family had made it plain, you know, and it said I was interested in Islam, that no. So I was sneaking on my bike. I was sneaking to the mosque, and Sister Letha saw me, and I was like, is Minister Farrakhan here yet? She's like, no, not yet. He's coming. I was like, okay, I'll be back. And I was pedaling on my bike. So I did that for a couple of Saturdays. And one day she psyched me out. She put her hand on my bicycle handlebar and said, you're late. Sister, you know better. And I was like, whew. She said, come on, let's get to class. Come on, get off that bike. And I was like, oh, I got off my bike. And I was like, where's my bike? She was like, don't worry, this brother's got it. You get to class. And in I went. That's how I entered the mosque for the first time. Sister Rita, her formerly Letha, and may Allah bless her forever. That's how she psyched me in. And Sister Veronica was standing there in her blue uniform. And Sister Veronica is just gorgeous. She's tall, dark skin, big, pretty eyes. You know, she had her hand out to me, standing in the hall at the doorway for orientation. Just come on. And I went in, and that's how I sat in the seat. And they said, well, how old are you? I'm 15. I didn't have consenting parents, so I actually sat in orientation for years. I rode my bike. I never told my mom where I was going. I just said, can I ride my bike? It's Saturday. And she said, go ahead. And that's where I was going. I had the orientation packet and I was studying. And when I turned 18, I knew I was going to do it. I said, when I leave for school, because I had been accepted to Howard University, and that's where I did my first degree. I said, I'll be free. I can do what I want, you know. So I got to Howard. And I remember Sister Majida saying, if you go to DC, you know, you may not be Allison X. You know, you're the only Allison here. She wanted me to recite before I left. Only Allison here. You're the only Allison. You'll be Allison X. You go there, you could be Allison 2X, 10X. And I was like, I'm gonna wait. Sister Lee, it's gonna be all right. You know, I'll be all right.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, Allah is so merciful. Allah is so merciful. So that's how I started. I did not know Master Fard Muhammad, Allah in person, that we were the cradle. I didn't know that until I got to DC. I was like, wait a minute, where I just came from? I don't know where my mind was. Like, I knew the orientation packet backwards and forwards, but I don't know. You know, when you're a teenager, you're sometimes you're just all over the place. My schoolwork, trying to, graduate from high school, but I just loved Islam and I loved the believers, and that was my home. When I got to DC, I didn't know where I was.
Mm,
I was trying to find my way on campus, freshman orientation. I didn't know where the mosque was. I didn't know anything. And I had a little scarf that didn't even cover my head. It was like the whole back of my head was out. And I had little beads on it. And I was still wearing shorts,
mm,
t-shirt. So the believers, I guess when they first saw me, I looked crazy. Um, but I went to a campus. Thank God Dr. Abdul Muhammad had established the campus mosque study group on
mm,
Howard campus. So when I got there, they had little meetings. Brother Sevlin X had the manhood training classes, self-defense, and Sister Beatrice and Sister now Karima, they were doing sister talks in the dorm, like this is Islam on campus. And I went to one of those sister talks. It was a general, this is Islam. And so I was like, well, I already know that. So, man. But when I went to the Sunday meeting in Blackburn Center, that's when they had the meeting and Brother Michael 3X was teaching. And then from there, we were shuttled to mosque number 4. And it was like, okay, here's the mosque. Here's the mosque. Those study groups are still important on campuses. Believers who are on campus, you cannot quit. That study group on campus, we did so much. We did so much. Brother Reginald X and Sister Asada from Reverend Willie Wilson's church ran that campaign, and they won. They won Yusa's seat. She was president, brother was her vice president, and the campaign was the moral rejuvenation of the campus. We won that. And that was right. That was before the Million Man March. So we were in motion on campus. We kept the sister talks going because Beatrice had moved on. See, that's the thing about the campus. People come for their education and then they graduate. So the new believers who are freshmen and sophomore, we have to stay in motion as people graduate. So Sister Karen had graduated. Sister Beatrice had moved on. We just had to stay in motion. And I remember Sister Karen saying to me, she was from Chicago, this is how you fill out the paperwork for us to have the little auditorium for the Sunday meeting. This is the office. This is what you do. This is where you go. Make sure that's done in advance, And it was like, okay, this is how you set up the check area. And I was like, oh, okay. All of that was done. I wanted to get to the mosque so bad. I saw somebody online saying, Brother Captain Tim saved my life. He was the captain at the time. But let me tell you, it was Sister Beverly, his wife, Sister Beverly, that saved me, because I'm still in that limbo. I was away from home. I'm on the campus. Okay, I'm going to little meetings, but I had not actually shown up to MGT class. See, I had not shown up to class. And I was on Georgia Avenue and I saw this beautiful sister walking in her brown satin 19. I saw the headpiece and I ran up to her. She was so patient. Oh God, she was so patient. I ran up to her and I just poured it all out, poured it all out. Sister, where's the mosque? I guess I just looked like a nut. And I told her, she was so patient. I told her about this vision I was having over and over. I'd had it 8 times. And she listened to me right there on the street. If you've ever been to Howard campus, all the shops there on Georgia Avenue, and then you're going up the hill, and then a little bit past Bird Gym and Cook Hall, and a little bit down there was a building there with a tut head on there. There were a lot of Black businesses in there. This big yellow building with a tut head, and we had our tape connection was in there. Sister Yvette ran the tape connection in there. You could get oils, you get incense, you get our power products. So, because I bought my hair oil and my shampoo and my lotion and all that for my hair. And so that's where I was headed. And I guess she was maybe coming from there. But when I saw that headpiece, I said, sister, basically help me. I'm sending out a SOS. And she said to me, first, here's the address, 1615 Kenilworth Northeast. And then Saturday, obviously, you know that. And then she says, sister, I've never met anybody who had a personal invitation to faith. She said, you have to come. And she just broke that whole thing down. 8 times, that's transition. You're in transition. And Allah is promising you salvation. She said, the person in the vision, that's the angel. You don't see their face. That's an angel. Somebody took you by the hand and saved you from drowning. Because in my vision, I was drowning. And I was like, oh my God, just tears. So I said, okay, I will be there. That Saturday comes. I had never been on the train. Again, I'm from Detroit. We drive everywhere. We don't have subways. And you can get a piece of a car from Charity Motors, from the junkyard. Why are you on foot? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know subway, trains, or anything. And I started out in the morning, and Allah is merciful. That's how I met Sister Carrie from Chicago. She was headed to class. And it was like, sister, how do I, we're at the Howard Shaw station. I was like, sister, you're going to the mosque? She said, yes. I said, I don't know the train. She said, well, come on with me. And that's how I got to the mosque. That's how I learned the 2 trains to take and how to get from one level to the next. That's how I got there. And the Metro card. And I sat in orientation. The sister that came in, I believe it was Sister Sonia, she just looked like an angel. She floated in her white, her cape, DC, corsage on her wrist, just gorgeous. And she was so soft-spoken, and she just started teaching. It was the same packet, right? But I was a little older now, and now I'm focused. And she went out on maternity leave, but we went through the first 100 pages of Message to the Black Man. She gave us quizzes. We went through the whole of How to Eat to Live. We went over the restrictive law. Anything on this list, put it on the card, give it to me, because you need to fix that by the time you leave out of this class. And when she went out on maternity, Sister Aisha took her place. And when I say that sister looked like a goddess, I am not exaggerating. And she was really dark skinned. She just looked like somebody made her, she was obsidian. She was floated in. She had on beige and her gold earrings. She just, oh my God, her corsage on her wrist. And everyone's so patient. If I had to say anything about the believers in Mosque number 4, they were just so patient and loving. And, Sister Captain Nisa Islam Muhammad was the captain at the time. And I don't even know how long I sat. I guess that she decided, look, some of you all have been in orientation a long time. Come on. And I was like, oh, that's me. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, that's me. Okay. So my friend from Howard, we had said, okay, we're going to recite on the same day. So we'll have the same birthday. And I came on a Wednesday and she wasn't there. And Sister Captain Nisa was like, we're going to recite today. Come on. And I was like, really? I want to wait for my friend now. Come on. And that was that. So ironically, that was November 13th. That was my birthday. My real birthday.
God. Yes, ma'am. And you get love all across the country. Thank you, everybody who continues to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast. And we're showing Sister Allison love. Please let us know what city you all are watching, especially on YouTube, where you all are watching from. Okay, so Allison, my next question was, you spoke about the Million Man March. What was the spirit like in DC leading up to the Million Man March, and how did it personally impact you as a woman?
Wow. Okay, so I was a vanguard at the time. I'm older now. I was a vanguard at the time, and When the minister announced a Million Man March, it was a million people. You know, they have marches all the time in DC. I'm from Michigan. I had never seen all that, okay? But there were marches all the time in DC. People got permits and they were there. So it was like a million people. Has a march ever had that many people? And the answer was no. I wrote when, I don't know if you remember, before there was the commemorative march for the 1963 march. Greta Scott King, may Allah be pleased with her, had invited the minister to speak. And then pressured by the sponsors to uninvite him. The minister is so gracious. He's so gracious. He's so elegant, okay? He said, no, I don't want to mar that. This is the commemorative march, her husband. So he's like, you don't have to disinvite me. I won't come. So I wrote for the school paper, the school Hilltop. I wrote an editorial piece and said, this is ridiculous that people outside of us get to say who our leadership is and who we should listen to. This is ridiculous. I wrote that for the school paper. The spirit was really high. Once he said it, it was in motion. Okay. Sister Captain was like, well, let's go get that permit. You know, she has such a pleasant voice. I've never heard her just like yell or, you know, I never even heard her loud. You know, Sister Captain Nisa always has such a pleasant sing-song voice. You know, it was like, okay, we're moving out. I mean, I couldn't see it, but we were in motion. And I always thought of my Aunt Judith. You're in the car, just ride. Where are we going? Where's the map? No, just ride. You don't know. You'll know the way, just ride. And I'll teach you as we go. So that was kind of, you know, the minister said it, the laborers were in motion, but I was young, so I was just riding. I did whatever needed to be done. We had a women's rally. I was told to be there. That whole thing with Reverend Bishop Stallings was going on. I was told dress beautifully and be at the church. And it was the women, it turned out it was that women's rally. And I helped do the check. That's when I met Marta Chavis. She was pregnant with the twins, John and Reginald. And I was on post. I was asked to be at a lot of little, you know, events that the minister was showing up to, just be on post. The minister wants us to look beautiful, not necessarily in uniform. I did volunteer off and on to answer the phones at the headquarters for the march. I looked up and I was babysitting. That seemed to be how I kind of fell in. I watched Brother Ben Chavis and Sister Marta's children a lot. I watched the captain, Sister Captain Najima's children, little Sam, my little mighty Maud. He's grown now. But that was my pumpkin. I watched him a lot. I babysat little Majida. I worked at MUI. That was the other thing too. I had like 3 part-time jobs. I was at MUI, I had a campus job at the greenhouse, and I worked at a daycare. I was just running pillar to post. I was on scholarship, so I had to try and balance all of that. But the laborers were moving out. They were working, and it was like, I just tried to do whatever I was asked in every little part. It was something else. It was something else. And I'm so glad that we were doing what we were doing on campus, because when he announced the march, we already had a presence on campus. We had the study group going. We had the sister talks. We had pamper parties. Sister Tamara, Muhammad, and I will host little pamper parties. We put on the flyer anything you ever wanted to know about sisters in the Nation of Islam. And we had little gift bags with, you know, fingernail polish and different things like that for the sisters to come. And I said, you know, we'll have this little bucket where they can just put their question on a card. That way, if they don't have to be afraid of offending anyone, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Ask their question. But it was a beautiful spirit. I mean, I knew I was a part of something powerful, but the magnitude, oh, brother, as we got closer and closer to the date, the intensity of the propaganda against it. Wow. We had to come as Vanguard, the minister traveling up and down. Your father, we were in Richmond, and the minister was speaking, and there was a bomb. There was a bomb there at that venue. Mm-hmm. And you're like, Vanguard, out. You move out. You do what you're told. And he had dogs. And they found a bomb. We don't know if it was explosive or a smoker, but it would have definitely caused a panic. I mean, we were just in motion. That's why I brought up my Aunt Judy. You're riding, okay? Just sit, put your seatbelt on, and ride and help. When you're asked, you don't have to know the whole plan. You don't have to know the route. You're on the journey. Just ride. And that was me. I mean, I was happy to do everything that was asked, and as we were told, sisters, they were the propaganda against the men's only meeting. That was really intense. The Malcolm X movie. Oh my God, we were under orders. Don't argue with anybody about that movie. The propaganda against us was intense, and all over the campus, people were wearing the T-shirts, X and hats, and from the movie. And it was like, you know what? The brother Reginald said, we're gonna work it. We're going to work because that means the people are still interested. So the sisters and I on campus, we agreed that different days we would wear our garments together. So, we had the dress 19s. It was so hot. I wasn't used to the heat. Thank God they were cotton. But we would all wear our different colored dress 19s. And some days we'd all be in white and walking the campus with our headpieces. Like, didn't I just see you? No, you saw my sister. So we did things like that. It just kept our spirit going. But I do remember being at a venue and having to tell sisters, go home because they're looking at the news. Why can't the women be in the meeting? And it was like, sister, this is for the men. We need the men to change. How long can we stand out front? How long can we stand out front, hold the baby, work the job? Come on. The minister's trying to help us, but he's talking to them in private. So I never heard the lectures that are now replaying, Let Us Make Man. I was standing outside. When it was from the East Coast, we were outside to tell the sisters, go home. And finally, the sisters got the message that what they were hearing on the news was propaganda. And that's when, Cora Masters Berry, Dr. Dorothy Height, as more and more of our civil rights icons came on board, that stopped that. Thank you, God. Lord, I got a call. I was telling the Vanguard, be ready. I got a page. We didn't have cell phones in that pager. I had a page. I was in class. I came right out of class, went to the payphone, answered it, and it was Sister Captain Najma. And she said, I need you to get to Rankin Chapel right now. Can you do it? Yes, ma'am. Are you properly dressed? Yes. My blue headpiece. I had a matching skirt, white blouse, and I had this really nice blazer on top, my stockings, my heels, and I hustled over to Rankin Chapel, and the minister was there. It was September 19th. The minister was there, and all these Black clergy. That's the day they decided that they would all recognize October 16th as a holy day of atonement. When I got there, Brother Mustafa Farrakhan, he asked me to stand by the food. He said, I don't think the minister's going to eat, but in case he wants to, watch the food. And then Sister Tamara showed up, like right behind me. So she got the same page. We were the only two that I remember being there. And all those people were just talking in the reception area. And the minister came in the room and everyone just quiet. He's so gracious. He's so elegant. And when he talks about coming with his own atmosphere, I've seen it, no one had to say, be quiet. He just brought it all to a calm, because some of those voices sounded argumentative to me. Some people didn't, they were talking in a strident manner. So I didn't, I was like, uh-oh, what am I standing? What am I hearing? But when he came in, it all stopped. it all stopped. He came into his own atmosphere. Oh my God, it was right. So when you say, what was the spirit? The man of God coming with his atmosphere. Right, we're all orbiting, right? We're orbiting the sun. We're orbiting the truth. And the heat and the light coming from him, right? We're all in the brightness, in the glow, and the growing up, right? It was so beautiful that I said, people keep asking for a sign. I said, what was that? That was a miracle. That was a miracle. Even the weather that day was a miracle because that place is miserable. I'm from Michigan. It is never that hot and humid in October. And those cloud bursts, that's another thing about DC. You're walking and it doesn't look like it's going to rain and then whoosh. I never bought so many umbrellas in my life. It was perfect. Blue sky was crisp like at home. Oh, Brother John Muhammad was there. That was the first time I'd seen the messenger's brother. When he came, we were taking a break because Sister Connie and Connie from Greensboro, North Carolina, we were assigned to Dr. Dorothy Height, and she was on the dice, and we had a break. And when John Muhammad came in, everybody was like, well, so I said, that's the messenger's brother. Oh, I'd never seen him, and he looked so much like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and it was like, but to see all these relatives of the messenger and just so many people came. It was so beautiful. He said, Minister, I love you. I love you too. Oh, because I grew up in Detroit. So you see the temple, the blood brother of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, I was like, oh, they're on Hamilton and we're on Wyoming. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. But when he came to the Million Man March, it soothed so many wounds in our community. When the minister said, I've come here on a white carpet, in white garment, I've shed no man's blood to get here. Yes, okay, yes. Because he always gave us the move to keep the peace. To keep the peace. When that Kabila Shabazz thing happened at the Apollo Theater, man, I didn't want to give my money. I'm like, she did that. I'm not giving my money. You know, I was young. I'm like, no, I'm gonna give my money. Minister was like, we're raising money and I'm doing it. So I didn't want to be disobedient. You know, I gave my $20. And I was like, But that was the compassion and the love and the patience. The minister's been defending us and standing up for us and teaching us and guiding us. Oh my God, just what else I don't know what else you need to see. I don't know what else people need to see. I don't know. I mean, that's in the Holy Quran. You know, they ask after a sign, you know, if they ask for the angels. Well, if the angels come, the matter's decided. You know, why doesn't he have pressure? Why is he walking around in the marketplace like everybody else? Duh, you couldn't handle an angel. The angel comes, the matter's decided. You couldn't handle any more than his person. You barely handle that. No, I mean, I love the believers of Mosque Number 4. That's my family. I love them. Oh my God, I love them. I love your mother. Oh my God, don't get me started. I love your mother.
All praises to Allah.
And Sister Najma, the two of them, and then Sister Jerika and Sister Letitia and Sister Angela. Well, she's Muhammad, but 5X at the time. You know, the way they modeled sisterhood in front of us, in front of that Vanguard. I never saw them frown at one another. Isn't that something? You grow up, you along with women, you know, but I never saw them frown at one another. They always smiled at one another. It was always love and patience. Sister Sauda, she moved to Chicago, but she was our first officer at the time. Just love and patience, and everything was a whisper. I remember I fell over some chairs. We were practicing jumping chairs. Sister Sauda, you all right? I was like, what? She said, this is Epsom salt. Did you hurt your, Epsom salt? Yes, ma'am. And Brother Leroy, I won't leave out Brother Leroy because he trained us in self-defense classes. And let me tell you, seeing that brother punch a tree and the bark fly off, I was like, woo. And he said, that's the kind of punch you want, bam. I was like, woo, I don't know if I want my knuckles looking like that, but we were able to hit those boards and break them. And I'll never forget him lining us up. And he said, you need to know how an opponent comes at you. Your opponent sized you up, So he went to one of the smaller sisters and took her by the scruff and picked her up off her feet and did a little shake. And he was like, ah! He was like, we don't want no sissy girls in here. Sissy girl, I remember a sister say, that's redundant. Sissy girl. And then he came to me and he tried to do the same thing. And I was like, I'm from Detroit. And he was like, now they hit you in the head or they come up from behind. So you got to always what? Look over my shoulder. And he was right because he did that. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I was attacked on campus and I did defend myself successfully. And I was like, thank God, number one, I was dressed appropriately because my attacker could not take advantage of me because I had on a tunic, pants, and I had an overcoat on. So he couldn't do that. Plus we were boxing. I was like, And the minister said, you call on Allah. No, you're not going to just do it, brother. Leroy said, you box them ears. You grab them ears. This is how you break a lapel grab. So he exhausted. I exhausted him in the struggle, and then he gave up. And I thank Allah for that training. You don't think it's gonna happen. You don't think it's gonna happen, but if it does, you be ready to take a head. Be ready to take a head. The university kicked that young man out. They kicked him out. They told him, you won't ever see him again. And so many people saw him, pursuing me. Woo! And I was at a campus event too. That's what was a campus sponsored event. So it was like he was an ambush. I thought about that case, sister in Mexico.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't know who you're with. That whole situation. You thought that was a friend. You thought you were with friends and you weren't. We tell you, don't take intoxicants. Don't be alone with young men. Don't do that. You never know. And then you've got people you think are friends and they've already planned. I tell my daughters that too. Somebody wrongs you, they planned it. It wasn't spontaneous. Good is spontaneous. We do good spontaneously, but evil is planned. Evil is planned. So I encourage all of the young sisters, don't skip your self-defense classes. Whoever's over that, your mosque, don't you skip that. I don't care if all you're doing is stretching. I don't care if that's all you're doing is stretching. I don't care. Don't miss those classes, and be able to get out of a hold. I've been in public schools teaching and had to restrain youngsters who were fighting. It's something to be in these public schools and they let the children just fight. Nobody intervenes, not even security. They just let them tear each other up. And then, Mama Allison, don't get in it. Oh, I'm getting in it. To restrain the children without hurting them. Like, you're not going to hurt this person anymore, and I'm going to remove you from it without hurting you. You don't know when that Vanguard training will have to kick in. So all praise is due to Allah.
All praise due to Allah. And Sister Allison, people are showing you love. Both my sister Miriam and Naima. Sister Sabira sends the greeting. Thank you, everybody who continues to show love, Sister Allison. And we can't wait to put this on YouTube. Sister Allison, we have a quick commercial break for the sponsors of the People's Podcast, and we're coming right back to you because we want to hear about your new book.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And where can we get it? How can we get it? And we heard that you were giving your special autograph to it, and we want to make sure that we support that. 1 second. There we go. Hold on one second. There we go. Slideshow. Perfect.
Brother Rashad Street Premiere. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out to him if you need any of those services. Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, and now Spanish book. All three available on Amazon.com. Sister Naima's Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studios of Atlanta, Georgia. Rock Communications. If you're working on a book and you need copy, editing, project management, content development, or media relations, please reach out to Rock Communications. Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad's Conflict Mediation, squashing the beast throughout the Southwest region. He does a phenomenal job. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad's Giving Birth to a God and the Science of Child Rearing. Please make sure you go out and get a copy of her book as well. Fashion Gods, urban streetwear clothing for men and boys. 314-329-6009. He'll keep you dressed in the best of fashion. Brother Kenneth's Bow Tie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship you bow ties anywhere across the nation. Taj Hollywood's Chemistry 6 episode, a new television series out on YouTube. He's looking for actors and writers. Make sure you support him. Keep It Hood, helping others overcome depression. Also by Taj Hollywood. Brother Aaron's Elevated Places, stress management, real estate, credit, repair, and restoration. His Respect for Life Center. They do personal wellness, philosophy, emotional, and mental spiritual wellness. 229-344-1474. Dr. Henry Carter's King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad's COVID-19 Disinfected Cleaning Services, out of Chicago. Student Minister Sharif Muhammad's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, available on adulsharif.com. And lastly, Brother Joshua Muhammad's book, Cleopatra, as well as No Father, No Excuse, both available on Amazon. If you would like to donate or sponsor, please cash out the People's Podcast.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all. Thank you everyone who's watching, and thank you to our esteemed guest, Sister Allison Muhammad. I have with me a book that is phenomenal. I want to make sure that people can see it. And
Wait, do you have a chance to read it? Did you like it?
yes, no, I didn't completely finish it. Yes, ma'am, but it's good so far. Everything I've read so far is good. Wonderful, beautiful storyline, beautiful artwork. Can you please let us know what the book is about and how can we get it?
Okay. Oh my God. I'm so full because I wanted to tell that anecdote about your mother. And
you can go there first, then we'll come back to the book.
okay. So we're at the march. We started at 3 a.m. The Vanguard. We started at 3 a.m. because the mothers had the prayer breakfast. And Sister Connie and I were assigned to Dr. Dorothy Heiss. So we have been going all day. It was the end of the evening, and all the Vanguard, we were supposed to line up to walk Mother Khadijah and Mother Tanetta out. And your mother and Sister Captain Najma, they were ahead of us. She was the national at that time. And they were ahead of us. And I don't know what they were saying, but they're being all, sisterly. And we get to this elevator. And so it was like, yep, we're going downstairs, we're going to line up. And your mother and the Chicago sisters with her got on first. And the elevator filled up. And it was like, oh, there's no room. And your mother smiled, and the doors are closing. She does a little finger like, see you downstairs. And the doors closed. And it was like, oh, I guess we got to wait. And Sister Najma turns around, we can beat them. And she takes off to the left. And so it was like, I was behind her and I started like dancing sideways, like, oh, we're running. And so then we're all running, following the captain. She knew where she was going, just right. Racing behind her. And we go all the way down this hall, down some steps, and then back down the hall. And I said, but one lower, one level down. And I said, oh, and I saw the elevator. Oh, we can beat them. And so now we're really trucking, and the elevator still had not opened. And she's like, line up, line up, line up. And Naj was like, DC first. As your mother comes off the elevator, we were already lined up. But, everybody's like, it's like DC first, DC first. And your mother's smiling like, okay, sisters. When we walked Mother Khadijah out, Mother Janetta, they were in the middle. There was still some officers there. They fell out. One of them fell out. Just the sight of us. One of them fell out. It was like, right. That was, oh my God. It was wonderful. But that I always remember. It's like DC first. And like, but it was the two of them like, oh, we're running. Oh, it was so cute. That only friends could do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I always remember that about the two of them. I always remember that. I met your sister because your mother did the Junior Vanguard retreats. Those camps, and at some point I was the Junior Vanguard coordinator under Sister Lieutenant Jacqueline 6X to keep those camps going once the minister moved your family to Atlanta. So we tried to keep those things going that she had instituted. So, and she drove from Atlanta with your sister to still come to the camp. That we arranged. That's how I met your little sister. Sabira, they were a little crew. Woo, those MUI trips, they used to get me. Listen, we on the train. Please don't stand by the door. They knew I was a compulsive counter. 1, 2, 3 little headpieces. I didn't want to lose anybody because I'm from the Motor City. I'd never taken children on a train. I was like, oh, I'm trying to take them to museums. And I was like, 1, 2, 3, don't stand by the door. They, Sister Allison, and they took a little hand out. Get your little hand back in there. So that's what I remember. They got me. They were so cute. My little sisters. Every time I've seen them at Savior's Day, my heart is so full. So they don't know what they mean to me. I thank Allah every day for each one of them. They don't know the feeling of dealing with them, what that gave me, that's that would take a whole nother 2 hours.
Yes, ma'am. And Sister Allison, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you for your sacrifice and the sacrifices of your family as well, ma'am. May Allah continue to bless you all in your endeavor.
Thank you. Allah is merciful.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Sister Allison, your book, ma'am.
Okay. The book. Okay, so because my husband has moved us quite a bit, sometimes we weren't somewhere where there was an MUI, so I had to homeschool. And I found, like a lot of parents, you're trying to keep the children reading, you're trying to keep them engaged, and I couldn't find anything. And my oldest daughter is such a smarty pants. Every time I suggest a book, she would do this little thing, let me guess the authors on the New York Times bestseller list. That's let me guess, the artwork on the cover is great. You love the back, the synopsis on the back. It was forward, right, mommy? And it was like, ooh. I said, well, what do you like? Well, what do you like? They like anime. They like the manga comics, but there's hardly any Black characters. I started taking them to Black comic cons and stuff, trying to get them the material. When that Black Panther came out, I was desperate. But Reginald Hudlin wrote the first go around, and the new writer, they wove in all kind of stuff. That's not our ethos. And I was like, uh-oh. So I just found myself trying to find reading material that reflected our culture, our ethos as believers in the Nation of Islam, and at the same time, what they wanted to see. So I was like, well, what do you want? Like, we want Black girl magic. Well, what does that mean? We want magical powers. We want a princess. We want her to, rule it all. I was like, okay. And I know that feeling because I too, growing up, wanted Black books as well. And there's a plethora of Black books, but for little children, nothing for teens and tweens at 11 plus. They're still reading novels for the most part that are not by people of our community, and that, or if they have themes that we do not, we do not advocate. They're dark, they're scary, werewolves, vampires. I mean, we're stretching every time we put a book in their hands. So I told my youngest daughter, Nadia, about a book I wrote when I was 12 that I had lost. It had been in my grandfather's house. My grandfather was a court reporter and a naval veteran, and he let me use his typewriter, and I decided I was going to make my own book because I was tired of all these little books they gave us. The little readers, they give you a little catalog, and you take the money order to school, and then the books come to the school, and you've got these new books. Nancy Drew mysteries, Hardy Boys. They were all white teenagers, white. Anybody that grew up with Scooby-Doo, that was the the white teenagers on an adventure, solving a mystery. No Black children at all. And that last dispensation of Voltron, that was the nail in the coffin. The whole house was screaming. They finally did Black Allura, a princess, but she dies in the end. Everybody's screaming. I was like, woo! So I started writing what I could remember of the book that was lost. I said, okay, 12. I was 12. Okay, what was that story? And my daughter Nadia was like, you can do it, mommy. How much have you written? I was like, I didn't know if I was going to do it. I have my doctorate in archaeology, okay? I taught at the university level. I didn't go to school to be a children's book writer, okay? I didn't, this was out of need. And so I said, okay, I'm going to try. I wrote one piece, one little opening chapter, and they all started jumping out of their skin. I read it aloud to them. They were like, yes, mommy, keep going. I didn't know that they were in there drawing for it. All that artwork you're looking at is from my daughters, Nadia and Layla. I did not pay an illustrator. They did it. They were drawing as I went. So I kept going and they were drawing. And that's why some of the pieces look like watercolors and some of it's digital. And you can tell that it's pieces that they were doing all along. And I was like, okay. And I looked up, we had a complete book. It became the family activity. I was writing the next little chapter and reading it aloud to them. We love it. And I remember getting to the fight scene with the prince, and Layla tells me she has to win, mommy. Because the fight scene, because she has to win. I said, she don't win. She better win big. And I was like, whoa, these demands. And by the time I got to the end, we had all this artwork and there's this complete story. So then it was just sitting on my computer. And as my son's, I'm teaching him to read, then now he's reading along with it. He's like, there's not enough boys in here. So this is actually one of four. This is actually one of four books. The second one, I just completed the copyright. It just came back, the copyright for the second one. So there's more boy-oriented storyline there in the second one.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Allison, where can we get the book?
Okay, so I launched this book. It's on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook because it's $8 as an ebook. And these children have all their little e-readers. It loads right up. If you want a paperback, you have to go to Amazon. But if you don't mind an ebook, you can go to iBooks. You can go to Barnes & Noble's Nook. You can go to Overdrive. You can go to Kobo, Tolina. I launched it on several platforms.
Yes, ma'am. Sister Allison, what is the book called?
It's called The Crossover.
The Crossover.
And then : Ali Nura in the Seventh Pavilion. So this book is Black Girls Magic. I tried to answer my daughters. I also wanted to write in the elders of the mosque. My number 4, the elders of the mosque. Everyone in here has a Muslim name. All the children are, I love that the girls were able to give different hues to the character. All of us. See me?
Yes, ma'am, I can see you.
Okay. we don't all look the same. We're various hues. And so we talked about making sure the hair is textured, different skin tones of how we all look, you know. And that was the other thing. Even when you pick up a book and it seems to be oriented to a Black character, the character dies. Something happens in that Black character, the one character, they die. The description of the character is so off. I wanted to take my time. This girl is beautiful. These girls are beautiful. So I took time in description of their hair, what they're wearing, how they're being treated. Even, and the adults are not peripheral. I wanted girls to know, if you're magical, you're not magical by yourself, right? You inherited magic. You inherited beauty. Somebody in your family is modeling talent, and you know, you're an offspring, right? When people look at your sister, she looks like your mother, right? She's not magic by herself. She's mommy's magic, right? So the characters, right? They inherit their powers. It's inherited. You have a responsibility with that. So that I wanted that to be in there, that we have an ethos. They wanted a ship. I don't know if you know what that is, because I did not know. A ship, that the princess has a ship. And so I said, okay, if you want that, you're going to get Islam, right? Because there's no ship without chaperones. There's no ship without trials, and the male characters, the fathers, the grandfathers being present, and the mothers and the aunts, and they're saying, wait a minute, you princess, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know, let us help you guide that. So our main ship carries through all 4 books. Wonderful. And so it's an ebook, and it's $8. It's on all these platforms. Barnes and Noble's, Nook, iBooks, Amazon. I'm getting ready for a book fair coming up in New Orleans, Black Ink Book Festival at the end of January. So I ordered all these paperback copies. And Sister Yvette, my bestie, right? Now I'm using my children, they're my bestie in the Nation of Islam. In the St. Louis mall, she said, you know, you got all those books, you know, she's schooling me on business, because I didn't intend to do that. I'm ignorant. You know, like I said, I went to school for archaeology. I'm a professor, you know. She was like, no, this is how you do it. Dress your table. And she was like, you can sign some of those copies. You know, people like a signed book, you know, just telling me how to do business. I thank Allah for the MGT and GCC. That sister taught me to sew. Okay. I mean, I could make a headpiece, but she taught me to make garments, zippers, skirts, blouses. And she said, no, you can sign that. Let people know that you'll sign a copy, you know, you send it out. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, you think somebody want a signature? So I do it. If you want a signed copy from me, you can email me at Allison J. Muhammad @gmail.com. And I will send that off. The book is $25. The paperback it's $25. And shipping and handling. I am very proud of the artwork. I'm so proud of them. They have finished the artwork for book 2. So this December, they're going to start the artwork for book 3. So we're in motion, but I just said our children have to have something, our teenagers. I'm sure Sister Lucille in Philadelphia won't mind me telling that she bought the paperback for her granddaughter, and we talked over FaceTime, and it was the same thing. She wanted to know, is she going to die in the end? Die? You know, is she going to make it? Yes, she's going to make it. But it was the same thing for my daughter. She's 12. My daughters are now 16 and 17. But Sister Lucille's granddaughter is 12. And it was the same questions. Is she going to die? Is the father going to make it? And it was like, oh, how traumatized our children are from consuming these books that don't reflect what we believe, not on any level, no ethos, no nothing. I'm very proud that Sister Latifa Muhammad likes this book. In MUI, she was the directress that trained me when I first started teaching MUI in DC. I'm very proud that she liked the book. The instructresses in Detroit of MUI were Sister Rita, Sister Boniswa. They said they liked the book. Sister Rita said, this could be a television show. I was like, what? I was like, I'm just trying to get started. But I want our children to have something. So many of us can write, and there's so many believers who can draw. But if we don't produce anything for them to consume other than what's on these shelves, then what are we giving their minds to? We say we want them to be literate. We say we want them to grow, but they have to have something. Oh, and that was the other complaint. I don't want to read about slavery. And you know, that's like a slap. My husband is a historian in African-American history. I'm the archaeologist. The first dig I took my oldest on was a plantation. What do you mean? That's our history, you know. And I was like, but they're like, well, I want something entertaining, and I don't always want to read something historical. So I was like, oh my God. But I want to draw attention to one of the Queen, because we've done the Queen 2 times in this book. The girls did the Queen too. So if you go to, well, this is the mother and daughter. This is the mother and daughter. I wanted the mother-daughter, I don't know if you can see it, but the girls did that. And I've taken them to so many exhibits because I worked in a museum for 10 years as an archivist and an exhibition design. And I said, no, you've seen too much Islamic art. So they pulled this, but the Queen's been done twice. Nadia actually did the Queen twice as the Quetzalcoatl. And that headpiece, that's gorgeous. That was, I cried. I cried. They always talk about me crying. Mommy's crying again. I was like, I love it. I tried to pull on our cultural leanings, whether they were indigenous, whether it's Black people. I tried to pull on the symbols that our children would recognize, and no one in here has a Eurocentric name. No one. That everyone in here has a Muslim name, and I wanted that. I wanted them to hear their names in the story. And this is this is actually the first rendition of the Queen. It's on page 221. And she's just gorgeous in the detail that Nadia did in the headpiece. I showed her a picture of the Montezuma's headpiece that's in the Museo del Nacional. The original is in Europe, yes, in Vienna. They never gave it back. So what's in Mexico is actually a replica. And when she saw it, I said, that's the Queen's headpiece. The long quetzal feathers, the beading, that's the Queen's headpiece. Make it a little bit more feminine, give it a little bit more beadwork. But, you know, the Black Queen, how does she look? How does she look? And we've just had a time. I prayed for a way to reach my daughters. You know, that you all get a certain age where you're like, yeah, I don't want to hear that. Yeah, I know to cover my head. And you're not the cute little fuzzy wuzzies anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
You're teenagers. And I said, how am I going to reach that? I feel like I need another connection, you know? And this project did that. As I was writing, you know, and they were drawing, it was like, right, she's a Muslim. Where's her veil? Where's her veil? Where's her look, her modest look? Give that to me and to see them working. So the cover, we went through several covers, but
yes, ma'am,
she's wearing a veil.
Excellent. That's the Allison?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And also, people are commenting, showing love, and they're putting it that they're going to email. They're putting it in the comments that they're going to reach out to you. But Sister Allison, I want to make sure that we know once again the crossover on Amazon,
and iBooks.
iBooks, yes, ma'am. Great.
Barnes and Noble's Nook. You
Okay,
can go on
wonderful.
Kobo, Tolino. If you're in another country, they use those platforms, Kobo and Tolino. You can go on Nook, Barnes and Noble's Nook. It's there as an ebook for $8.
All praise to the
That's for
Lord.
those who have those e-readers. You know, you don't necessarily care about a paperback and you want something to put on the child's e-reader.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Sister Allison, the reason I'm saying that is because so many people are commenting, and we're going to make sure that we come back. We're going to have to bring you back for a part 2 because we have so many other interviews today lined up.
Oh, praise be to Allah.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you for your time.
Thank you, Sister Allison.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes,
I can't
ma'am.
thank you enough. I hope Allah is pleased with every effort we all make, all of us together, make that woven tapestry the minister talked about, as long as we put knots on the end.
Yes, ma'am. Beautiful. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Thank you all again for watching. We're going to put this on YouTube tonight. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Alaikum salam.
Perfect. And please give your family the greetings.
I will. Please give yours the greetings from us. My husband, DeVisi, he's from Detroit, but he helped rebuild Atlanta. Him and his brother were the part of the group of believers that outsold the World Series. Oh, yes. Yes, he with Brother Tony Muhammad, they were peers there. So, you know, he always says, Atlanta.
All right, great. All right, assalamu alaikum, man.
Well, alaikum salam. Have a good afternoon.
You too.